Hey guys, I'm John Krolewicz. I'm in Speedway, Indiana. It is May 28, 2016. You can hear parties going on in back of me. We're right around the corner from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And of course, why are we here? We're here for the 100th running of the Indy 500 tomorrow. And we're going to predict kind of what I believe, based on watching this race for 31 years now. Tomorrow will be my 32nd. What is going to happen, or what may happen in the race. And when you're watching tomorrow, I think there's going to be three stories that basically come up. First story is that we have a modern car, a car that's only been out for 4 years now, and of those 4 years, the highest starting winning driver was Tony Kanaan in 2013, who started 12th. An average starting place for winners in this current generation car, the DW12, is 15.5. So why is that? Why has the winner been coming from so far back? Well, what I think is that when you look at when the final pass for the lead has been made, either on lap 197, 198, or 199 of 200 laps, the guys that are starting back in the pack actually have the most practice passing people all day. So these cars lend themselves to very good racing. We've seen 2 or 3 of the closest finishes ever in the Indy 500 over the past 4 years. And those cars, those guys that have won it, particularly the Dario Franchitti, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and then last year Juan Pablo Montoya, were the lowest qualified car of the top performing team of the month. So when you take the strongest team and pair that with the driver on that team that gets the most practice, communicating with their crew, talking with their spotters, getting the rhythm down for passing cars, working through traffic, those guys are the ones that at the end of the race are best set up for that last lap pass. So, who is that tomorrow in the 100th running? Marco Andretti is the lowest qualified driver of the strongest team. Andretti Green Racing has been very strong. They've got cars in the front row, second row, lots of cars in the top 9, but not Marco. What was frustrating for him on qualifying day may very well prove to be a good day for him tomorrow. Marco has a history of doing some questionable stuff. He's a very aggressive driver, so it'll be seen, it's yet to be seen on whether or not he can use that starting position to his advantage tomorrow and not be too aggressive as he works his way through the field. So I said 3 stories. Second story, if you've been paying attention this month, has been the dome skids. Basically last year, all of the cars were having problems when they get turned around, getting some air, getting airborne. They're afraid about drivers hitting the fences. Not the best situation there. You're less able to control impacts, driver head vulnerability, all of that kind of stuff. So the series has gone hard to work at keeping these cars on the ground. Part of that is flaps that come up when the car turns around backwards, and the other thing is a dome skid, an aero device on the underside of the car that produces stability as the car spins and turns around. But it actually creates a little bit of instability when the car is going normal. So the drivers fought in preseason testing. It made for some very exciting qualifying runs. We saw Mikhail Elation do 4-wheel drifts on 2 of his 4 laps. We saw the drivers coming back, hands shaking, really just almost out of control. Some of the most excited drivers we've seen in the past few years. So what's that going to do to the racing tomorrow? Well, typically as the cars get longer in runs, the cars get higher off the ground, they produce a little bit less downforce, the tires are heating up, they get a little bit slippery. And when you start talking around lap 27 to lap 32 or 33 on long fuel runs, the cars already get slippery. So tomorrow, you're going to take a car that gets slippery, and now you've got these aero disadvantages, which can absolutely play havoc. What I expect to see is a little bit different in past years, in that we're going to see some extreme speed differentials as the runs get longer. We're going to see people maybe short stop on their fuel to try to get new tires to make up for that, and guys that are trying to stretch those fuel laps will be in slippery cars that aren't handling. I think that the strongest drivers are going to be the ones that can stretch those fuel laps and be able to handle the car when they're not handling very well. I also think that there's a good chance that that scenario is going to produce some single car crashes as the cars get slippery. So look for, I don't expect a record speed tomorrow, because I do expect some drivers to have problems with that, especially as the day goes on, the track gets hot, everything gets into the far end of the variables as we see them. So I said another third storyline, and the third one is engine longevity. Normally you get into a season and the manufacturers are concerned with year-end points and winning a manufacturer's championship. We've got 2 engines in the field tomorrow from Chevrolet and Honda, and I don't think they care at all about whether or not they win the manufacturer's championship at the end. I think they want to make sure with whatever museum that the car ends up, that the winner of the 100th Indy 500 has one of their badges on it. And because of that, we've heard some veiled comments this month and not so veiled comments with drivers saying, well, the engine guys are working just as hard as my crew guys are to try to find speed. And so the engine manufacturers are pushing the limits more than they have in past years. We've seen a couple of failures in practice. I expect to see failures in the race tomorrow. It won't surprise me if some of those failures come from top teams that just haven't seen problems with engine failures in the past few years. So we're going to be watching that. We're going to be watching the low qualified drivers from the strong teams, particularly Marco Andretti, but Scott Dixon's back there, and so is Juan Pablo Montoya again. We're going to be watching how the cars handle on long runs, what that's going to do to long-term race strategy, to traffic management, and we're going to be watching those engine longevity issues. We're going to see how this plays out tomorrow in Indianapolis for the 100th running of the Indy 500.